your Google Home. And streaming at our new app. There's a lot of opportunities to listen to the segment and watch it because it's streaming live on WMOM's Facebook page, on Hot Country Hits Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. And he is back in the studio. Dr. Jacob Seng, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We positioned you here in the studio so that people that are listening maybe around the country and stuff like that can see that we have some snow out there.
Yep.
And it seems like every time you'd mentioned this when you came in, that every time you come in the studio, there's a blizzard outside.
It does
basically.
feel like it, yeah. Every Wednesday when I'm in here.
That's not a bad sign. Okay, let's just clarify. But glad to have you in the studio. Let's before we talk about naturally boosting your immune system. That's a big part of our conversation today.
Yes.
I had a chance to see some of the photos that you posted of jumping in the lake. And you can kind of give us a little bit of background on that. We talked about this last time, but that looked pretty wild. It looked fun.
It was pretty wild. So we hosted a Wim Hof workshop in the yoga studio, and this gentleman, his name's Tim Mann. He drove up from Chelsea, Michigan. Mm-hmm. He's a certified Wim Hof instructor, and it was 4 hours on Saturday. It was the 9th of March. And so the first part, we were just at the yoga studio, and we learned about breath work. Mm-hmm. And then once we kind of completed that, we went between the pier heads down by the boat ramp, and then we walked into the water, got up to our chin, and we sat in there for 2 minutes.
In the month of March, by the way.
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
And so the water was 33 degrees. It was amazing. His whole thing, like Wim Hof basically says, your mind controls your body and your breath controls your mind.
That's right. Yeah.
And so if you can focus on your breath, you can really get through just about anything. Well, it was fascinating too, because those moments when I was in the water and I'm up to my chin, and I'll be honest with you, like a lot of the other people in the room had practiced, and they have cold plunges at home or maybe on the porch right now. So they've been practicing. I was pretty green.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of went for it, and
or blue.
Yeah, blue. So I'm up to my chin, and in there too, like there's like a little bit of wave action, and so like if I was focusing on my breath, I was fine. I would bump a wave or something, and my mind would shift, and I would immediately like, get me out of here.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. It was completely fascinating. It was really cool. But then I thought, though, the neatest part, just from me being like a chiropractor and talking to people about health all day, so Wim Hof breath work, right? And so that you don't do that in the cold plunge, you just do that at home, usually like lying on your back or sitting up nice and tall. But you're doing it's 40 consecutive breaths, and you're on the verge of what some would consider almost like hyperventilating, but not. And you can YouTube this guy and see how he does it. Yeah. But basically, you're pumping so much oxygen into your body that it's permeating all the cells and getting to like different places of your body that isn't usually oxygen rich. And then you'll begin to feel like a little tingling in your hands and feet and even up your spine. But that hyperoxygenation of the body stimulates a ton of the immune system. Mm-hmm. And so he talked about this one study, right? And so Wim Hof is this he's a kind of a different dude. He lives out in Poland. Okay. He's the guy, like, he hikes mountains in his boots and shorts, or he holds the record for the longest swim like under ice, right? To the point where like his cornea froze.
Wow.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
So and he's got to be well into his 60s. But anyway, his breath work. So Wim Hof came into Michigan, went to Wayne State, because he's been touting these immune response and the ability to control your immune system. And so Wayne State's like, okay, Wim. So they injected Wim with E. coli after he'd done his series of breath work. So, and remember, like E. coli when eaten has almost a 100% infection rate.
Yeah.
They literally injected it with this guy. Wow. Never got sick. They're like, okay, you didn't get sick, but you're just a genetic freak. This has got to be just something specific to you. He goes, okay. Mm-hmm. So then he takes 6 guys, maybe 10. They go back, they do 6 weeks of breath work training. So he trains them in his method. Okay. So all these guys learn the method, right? They all go back to Wayne State after 6 weeks. They do all their breath work stuff. They all get injected with E. coli, and nobody gets sick.
That's incredible.
It's incredible because the control group all got sick.
Okay. Yeah.
So even if half of that is true, knowing that your breath, like practicing breath work, can help you with your immune system, especially for all of us living in Michigan. It seems like every other person coming through the office in the months of February and March are experiencing some level of immune response.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I found that completely fascinating.
It's incredible. And I think we can learn, we definitely can learn from that. And we just had a story on the air the other day about not just not the immune system side of it, but the mental side of it. When we get frustrated, instead of venting and talking about our frustrations and stuff like that, taking that moment and breathing through it.
Yes.
And trying to settle ourselves by using some breathing techniques. So
yes,
this is, it can expand just beyond the immune system.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is breathing, like when you're having we'll call it a traumatic response or a severe stress response to whatever it might be, you're in your fight or flight brain, right? You're in your autonomic nervous system. And those deep breaths help you shift back into that parasympathetic system, that rest. And it's from that, when you're functioning in that system, your perspective changes, right? So then you can begin to reframe whatever that interaction may have been. And you can begin to realize, like, maybe that person's having a bad day, or maybe I just have a low bandwidth and I'm hyper reacting because I had X, Y, and Z happen prior to this. We find it super effective. And he talked about when to employ breath work and stuff like that at the seminar. And a lot of people will do it first thing in the morning, kind of prime their body. For me personally, my days run kind of long just because we work early in the morning, then we take a kind of a longer lunch, and then I stay till 6 at the office. So I want to try to help. I want to be the best version of myself when I come home to Tommy and Sarah. So a lot of times I'll practice that breath work just for like 4 minutes before we leave the office. And it just kind of helps me kind of shift back into like, I want, dad husband mode, not like businessman pushing all the time, like that, just like that kind of stuff. And so that's when I employ breath work to do just what you said, to like shift back into just a calmer state.
Well, and I think that says a lot. Is like if you have coworkers or that you're at the office or workplace and they might be a little quiet, they might be doing their own sort of internal, trying to reduce that anxiety, that stress. Yes. Try to get into that relaxed mode or that comfort mode, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to reframe themselves as well, and and that's the thing is like unfortunately, and I use this a lot in my health talks. We talk a lot about social media, right? And this will be good because like I'm on the social media. So when we're on social media, if you notice, like especially if we're on our phone, we will our chest will cave in because like we're seated there, which collapses. So as our rib cage collapses, our lungs can't expand, our diaphragm can't expand. So then we start to breathe out our mouth, and we have this natural response in our body through mouth breathing because if you're breathing through your mouth, you're usually being chased, right? That's how our reptilian brain responds.
That makes sense.
And so then it's fight or flight.
Yeah.
So just shifting your posture, breathing through your mouth, you get into fight or flight, and then you get triggered by something on social media that really is irrelevant to your life, right? And so again, hyper responses based on our autonomic nervous system. So just changing your posture, breathing deeply will help that. Wow. But that's why we see a lot of that. I call it keyboard rage, right? Like people like having those hyper responses, and they're just not in the right frame of mind.
That's right.
And so shift the posture, the breath, all ties into that.
Good points there. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Jacob Seng from NorthStar Chiropractic, NorthStar Fitness, there on South James Street, downtown Ludington. The immune system, we're talking we're talking about that. I mean, the obviously the natural things that can be done, but let's expand upon that for a moment. Yeah. Are there other things that we can do to help our immune system that are kind of on that natural field?
Absolutely. And to be super cliche in the fact that I own a gym and a chiropractic office, it starts with that, right? As far as like the gym stuff, like, moving your body every day, stimulating your circulation through exercise, right? Helping cells get blood to them, all helps helps your body respond better when you are exposed to like pathogens.
Okay.
And then getting adjusted, right? So we get adjusted again, not to just like back pain, neck pain, headaches, that kind of stuff. We get adjusted to stimulate our nerves, right? The nerves are our body. You know, the signals come from the brain down the nerves out to the organs, cells, tissues, all of those things. If we can really open up those pathways, your body's going to function at a much higher level. And then, yeah.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and you see that, right? I mean, you see those examples that come to you. Is that,
Yeah.
And these are just. I don't mean to blow it off in the sense, but these can be simple things that we can do to improve our health, and almost like, hey, trying to fit in 30 minutes exercise, right? We talk about 30 minutes of exercise. But we're talking about breathing. We're talking about walking around.
Yes.
We're talking about just different things, posture and such.
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't seem as challenging as trying to get to the gym, as we talk about, and other things.
Yeah.
What do you think prevents us from remembering that or executing that on a daily basis?
Chris, you absolutely hit the nail on the head, man. Like, what happens, I think, in our society is we are very much a all or nothing society.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so like people are like, Monday starts my diet, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It could be just cutting out like a couple things, right? Like the inflammatory foods like sugar and stuff like that. Or like I'm going to start, I'm going to wake up every day at 5:30. I'm going to get my 30 minutes of cardio in, and then I'm going to take my shower. I'm going to get ready for work. I'm going to do my breath work, I'm going to do my cold plunge. And then you sleep till 5:45. And then you lose the whole system.
Because you feel like you failed, and it's like, well, okay, maybe this isn't going to work.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
100%. And that's the thing is like life is not all or nothing. Like little bits and pieces of this will go a long way. And so like, I use the example a lot with a lot of like young kids, especially males. They'll be like, Dr. Jacob, what supplements do I need to be on so that I can get my muscles bigger and I can achieve these things? I said, well, what are you eating now? Because dumping a bunch of money into supplements and then pouring them into your body on top of McDonald's and Pizza Hut is not a great idea, right? Yeah. So like, do the small things first, the baseline stuff, and then you can add in all the other things as you become more adept to it, because you just stack successes, right?
Do you feel like we're getting to that point? So if we were to say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were in this mode. Now we're in this mode. How would you describe those people that are coming to you and having those conversations? Are they energetic about trying to do that and then they're actually doing it? Or were we better at being more disciplined, I guess, in the sense 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, totally. I think within the last 10 years, there's been such an uptick in people realizing the importance of habit and routine that I think more now than ever, people are trying to become more diligent. Unfortunately, on the opposite side of that is we have more distractions in our life than ever before too, right? Because we talk about when we have our stress talk in the office, we talk about like never giving the mind a break, because most time when people sit down, and I've fell victim to this for a while too. Like, let's say it was in between patients, or I had a gap and it was 5 minutes. I'm just gonna like sit down, rest my legs, right? I immediately jump on social media.
Yeah.
Right? And social media just continues to make your mind run. And so you're never giving your mind a break, which then ups our stress level. So people are more diligent, more hyper-focused on their daily habits, routines, and the effectiveness of it, right? Because like 10 years ago, biohacking wasn't a word, right? And now it's like everyone's talking about it. Like, what are these things? And then like, and then the same thing, because those things all gain traction through social media, which then distracts us from the greater goal, right?
So we need to take mental breaks, physical breaks, all of that stuff. We talked again. There's a story the other day that we were talking about that people are just hibernating in their beds, eating in their beds, not getting out of bed. The social media, the blue screen we talk about, stuff like that, and it's almost like the principles, those tips and guidelines that we've heard all along. We just have to try them, maybe implement them.
Yeah.
But from our conversation this morning, we can adjust them. For instance, I loved the conversation about the posture side of it. If we're on your cell phone, and we will walk across the street or down the sidewalk, and we're on our cell phone while we're hunched over, that's not allowing our system to breathe the way it should breathe,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just little things like
Little
that.
things like that. Yeah. And that's and we talk about naturally boosting the immune system. Yeah. So it's not earth-shattering stuff. It's like you said, breathing, exercising, getting adjusted if that's part of your lifestyle, and sleep. Right? But like really sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah. And that'll do it. So but it's hard to help people realize like it's not rocket science. It's very basic, but the basic, just like sports, right? The beauty's in the fundamentals, and that's life. Right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, that's a good message there. Did we cover everything that we wanted to talk about this morning?
No,
You
I
feel
thought
pretty
this
good?
went great. Yeah,
Good.
we went a lot deeper on some stuff, and that was awesome.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being the person you are, because a lot of people do respect you in this community.
Oh, thank you.
They look at you for knowledge and information. Obviously, the adjustments, being able, and your team helping on the exercise side of it. When you have the next breathing and 2 minutes. By the way, you shocked me when you told me how much time. I was thinking, okay, let's run out, we'll splash, we'll come back. No, but to be able to focus on that 2 minutes of breathing and kind of block out the obstacles of being in cold water.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we appreciate you being here. Take us through how more people can connect with you, because we want them to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously all our social medias, NorthStar Chiropractic, NorthStar Fitness. Our fitness page is luddington.fit. And then nstarchiro.com is the chiropractic page. If you are in need of help, all our paperwork's on there, and you can fill that stuff out.
All right, sounds
Awesome.
great.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you always coming in. Dr. Jacob Seng, NorthStar Chiropractic, NorthStar Fitness. Make sure you check them out. It is 8:48 now on 102.7 Mom FM and Hot Country Hits.